what I'll call the traditional reasons that people have bought gold, not as an insurance, but the reasons people have bought gold as an investment, that is the macroeconomic environment and factors. Is it a time to celebrate a win? I think absolutely not, because the economic environment is only now beginning to turn in gold's favor with signs of a weakening economy, weakening dollar. The Fed is going to have to cut interest rates at some point, although they obviously are reluctant to do that. But at some point this year, they're going to have to, if only to help the federal government fund its debt. So basically, I think, and this might surprise you, I think we're only just getting going with what I'll call a normal gold bull market.
While the attention of the world is fixed on the Israel-Iran conflict, geopolitics has once again proven a fickle driver for gold prices, with the yellow metal sliding back below $3,400 per ounce. Is the gold bull market finally heating up? Adrian Day, of Adrian Day Asset Management, unpacks the surge in gold prices, the return of capital to junior miners, and why retail and institutional investors may just be waking up. Precious metals have been on a tear this year, with gold, silver, and platinum all posting returns above 20%, making them an alternative asset class that has long been an investor's haven during times of market volatility. What is taking place is a combination of the safe haven trade co-occurring with concerns about the U.S. deficit and the de-dollarization wave among foreign central banks amid political shifts since President Trump's election and a global realignment of interests. A record share of the world's central banks plans to accumulate more gold over the next 12 months, drawn by Bullion's performance during times of crisis and protection against inflation. In a survey of 72 monetary authorities, 43% reported expecting their gold reserves to increase, up from 29% the previous year and the highest figure in 8 years of data collected by the World Gold Council. Adrian Day says that even though gold has been doing well, it's too early to celebrate. This isn't the end of the story, it's just the beginning. He points out that the economy is starting to slow down, the US dollar is weakening, and the Federal Reserve will likely have to cut interest rates soon, possibly to help the government manage its debt. All of this, he believes, is setting the stage for a real gold bull market. In his view, the most significant gains are still to come. As we dive into the video, remember to subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. We value your thoughts, so drop a comment below and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content.
Well, absolutely. I don't think this is the time to celebrate a win. Well, let's celebrate the win, but it's certainly not the end by any means. I hate to use those 4 of the most dangerous words in the investment lexicon. That's what John Templeton said, but this time is different. What we've seen is, obviously everybody knows, but I think it's important that we really focus on the implications. Everybody knows what's been driving gold for the last 3 years. Central bank buying to diversify assets in the face of dollar weaponization. More recently, Chinese buying has come in, Chinese non-official buying has come in because of concern about Taiwan and concern about the economy there. So they want to protect their wealth against the devaluation. And of course, concern generally among more generally wealthier individuals, families, Middle East, Far East, as well as Europe, and to some extent the US, about the fiscal situation, not just in the US, but frankly, worldwide. There's very few countries you can point to, very few major countries you can point to and say they've got their fiscal house in order. So all of these things combined, and we know all of that, but what's important, I think, is that what I'll call the traditional reasons that people have bought gold, not as an insurance, but the reasons people have bought gold as an investment, that is the macroeconomic environment and factors, simply hadn't been present. I mean, we've had, and I'll say apparently once, but we've had an apparently strong economy. We've had high interest rates. We've had low inflation. We've had a relatively strong dollar. I mean, can you think of an economic environment that is worse for gold? And so because of that economic backdrop, people in the West and ordinary investors have not been investing in gold. They might be accumulating it for insurance, but they haven't been investing in gold. That's also the reason, in my view, why the stocks have not, until very, very recently, exhibited any of the leverage that we associate with gold stocks over the metal itself. Because, again, the macroeconomic environment has not been conducive. And if every month you're an American investor, you're a Canadian investor, every month you open your brokerage statement, whether you open it from an envelope or online, and the bottom line number goes up pretty much every month, the TSX or the S&P, with few exceptions, you don't think about diversifying away from, the S&P. And so I think there's a logic, frankly, you didn't ask this question, but I do think there's a logic as to why the gold has performed over the last 3 years better than the gold stocks, or at the minimum, the gold stocks have not given us leverage. Now, when you say, I forgot what your question was. Sorry, but you didn't ask me about baseball innings, did you? But is it a time to celebrate a win? I think absolutely not, because the economic environment is only now beginning to turn in gold's favor, with signs of a weakening economy, weakening dollar. The Fed is going to have to cut interest rates at some point, although they obviously are reluctant to do that. But at some point this year, they're going to have to, if only to help the federal government fund its debt. So basically, I think, and this might surprise you, I think we're only just getting going with what I'll call a normal gold bull market.
Wall Street is starting to see the bullish momentum fade as the tariff expiry is less than 1 month away. On top of that, Israel's strikes on Iran have caused tensions to soar much further. Gold and gold stocks are what most people think will be the biggest beneficiary. Year to date, the two biggest gold ETFs, SPDR Gold Shares and iShares Gold Trust, have taken in over $11 billion, according to data from ETFaction.com. Among the top 25 ETFs for flows, with the SPDR Gold Shares near $7 billion in assets, number 13 overall in the ETF industry. In Adrian Day's view, this is all part of a broader shift where serious attention and money is starting to return to gold and mining stocks. And for him, it's another signal that the real move in this sector is only just beginning. Now, let's redirect our attention to a video.
Now, frequently when I see lots of companies, especially juniors, come out to raise cash, it says to me, maybe this is a short-term top. That's the immediate reaction I normally have. But I mean, I think on this occasion, I think it really is a sign that there is just increased interest among investors. You're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of these deals that have come out in the last month could not have been done, even if they were trying to raise half the amount of money, a year ago. It simply couldn't have been done. And what we're seeing now, like Aya Gold you mentioned, but that was oversubscribed. I don't know if you noticed that. We're now seeing companies come out who maybe need 4 or 5 million, but they're aiming for 8 and they're finishing with 12. So that is a sign that money is finally available and coming back to this sector. And it also works the other way around, particularly in the States, where most investment advisors aren't familiar with the gold sector at all. Yes, they've heard of Newmont and Barrick. Some of them may have heard of Agnico, and that's about it. But it works the other way around. A client will call his advisor and say, hey, I've been hearing about gold. I think I should have some gold. And the advisor sort of says, if you really think so. And what does he do? Typically, he buys a GDX. He doesn't even buy individual names. And that's another sign of what I'm saying. You go back to the middle of May, for your Canadian people who may not know, but GDX is the largest gold miner ETF. So you go back to the middle of May, there were only 3 days this year, 3 days with net inflows into the GDX. $3.3 billion of outflows, net outflows. That is a sign, again, that's a sign to me that RIAs are not, investment advisors are not in this, the sort of people that buy the GDX. The guy that says to his broker, hey, I want 1% in gold, buy me a fund. They don't pick individual stocks. And that to me is a sign of what I'm saying, but it's only just beginning. There's a logic to it when you've, in the case of Newcrest, Newmont, you've just bought Newcrest, you've got new mines, big mines that you acquired, you want to focus on. In the case of Barrick, you've got a couple of really big construction projects underway, including Ragadik in Pakistan. So getting rid of marginal things, to raise cash, but I think more importantly, to avoid the distraction, because let's face it, if you're Newmont or Barrick, a $3 million ounce mine is pretty small, and you're looking at mines that are producing 250,000, 500,000 ounces a year. Well, the top management will spend as much time on the small one as they do on the big one, and that just sort of doesn't make sense. There's only limited people, limited time to focus on assets. So you want to focus on the best.
U.S. dollar assets, mostly treasuries, extended a steady decline to reach 46% of global reserves. Among the factors that threaten to accelerate the decline of the U.S. dollar's share of global reserves are the country's yawning fiscal deficits, the risk of confiscation, and speculation that foreign creditors may be treated less favorably, all that stands to benefit gold. More than half of the central banks from emerging economies in the survey stated that gold's lack of political risk was a relevant factor behind their decision to hold gold, while 78% cited its low default risk. How much of your portfolio would you consider allocating to gold if trust in the US dollar continues to erode? Please share your comments below and let us know your thoughts. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe for more. We're grateful to have you with us on this journey.